So the big question is this. With a looming nursing shortage ahead, how do we recruit more men into the field and overcome the stigma attached to being a male nurse? Find out in this podcast. My name is Phil, and you're listening to Higher Education from RightJobNow.
Well, it's the wrong number. You call my house again. Looking for love.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Higher Education from RightJobNow, the podcast that seeks to answer all your questions about recruiting and technology in the field of healthcare. I'm here with my partner in crime, Phil. Phil, how are you?
Hello.
Hey, man.
Great.
Outstanding. So we got our first podcast here. That's pretty exciting.
Very exciting.
Absolutely. Phil and I are not even in the same office today. We are using the magic of the internet to connect and do this podcast. Our topic for today is going to be recruiting men into nursing in the healthcare profession. We're going to cover a little bit of history about what it's been like for men over time in healthcare, and specifically some ideas about recruiting men into the healthcare profession. Most professionals roundly agree that men are going to be a critical factor in combating the nursing shortage. So
There's a lot of stigma to overcome with that.
Yeah. So what can folks do to recruit men into the profession? So we're going to discuss some ideas, a little bit of history of men in nursing, and some ideas on how individual facilities and organizations can work to recruit more men into the industry. Thought we'd start out with the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics released their January jobs report. Healthcare industry, no surprise, grew by 42,000 jobs in January. That's down from 52,000 that were added in December. Still a record-breaking month for the industry. Highest growth sector with 22,000 jobs was on the ambulatory services side of things, but hospitals had a gain of 19,000 jobs. So roughly 11% of the nation's jobs are connected to the healthcare industry, and the Bureau of Labor and Statistics expects that to grow to 18% by 2026.
Yeah, I saw that healthcare overall was up something like 360,000 jobs. That's up over a 250,000 from last year's numbers.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's huge.
It's tremendous. So in addition to that, U.S. News & World Report came out this week with their 2019 Best Jobs Study. And nearly half of the 100 jobs that are in that list are in the healthcare industry. And I think that just goes to prove that, what we've been saying for the past 16, 17 years now, that the healthcare profession is certainly a place for opportunity for job growth and job security. It continues to grow. Everyone knows that. And so much so that right now there's a concern because we are facing a shortage of nursing staff and primary care physicians. The Bureau actually is reporting that by 2022, that's just basically 3 years away now, we'll have a shortage of over 1 million nurses in this country. And that's despite an expected growth of the profession by 15% by 2026. So, any of those gains are going to be offset by the care that's required by an aging population. So, tremendous amount of opportunity and need. In addition to the hospital setting, there is also a tremendous staff shortage in assisted care facilities, nursing homes, retirement homes, etc.
Yeah, I would imagine it's the same everywhere.
Yeah. So much so that a number of the facilities, there's recently been a change in the formulation in terms of how retirement homes, nursing homes, assisted living facilities are rated by Medicare. And there were a tremendous number of facilities whose ratings were dropped because of the staffing shortages that were in their facilities. So it's just having a tremendous impact on patients that we care for, our seniors, and folks in our communities that truly need our help at this point. So, Phil, our main topic today, recruiting men into nursing. It's kind of interesting. The number of men in nursing it's basically tripled over the last 40 years now. About 12% of the total nursing population are men. And that number is down to 8% for those who are LPNs or in the vocational nursing field. But you may not know this. Men have had an essential role in nursing going back to 250 BC in Egypt. Yeah, I know.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And men were critical in the nursing profession working in hospitals during the Black Plague. So men in nursing is nothing new. They've been around in the profession for quite some time. Probably back in the day, they were doing the whole, using leeches, to bleed people out. Yeah, I'd have a hard time doing that. But, that was certainly a prescribed method of care back in the day. But overall, there's just a demand for men in the profession because there's an overall demand for nurses in the first place. But it seems as though for a very long time now, there are certain issues facing men. And one of the primary issues facing men in the nursing profession is that of the gender stereotype, that nursing is just a field for women.
Sure.
Of course, there are also concerns that, you read a lot of articles that talk about the fact that it's also a concern for patients. It's known that for a lot of female patients, when a male nurse walks in the room, and of course, again, this is a gender stereotype as well, is that when a man walks in a room, they actually think that he's a doctor when he's a nurse. And oftentimes female patients, when they find out the man is a nurse, there's a feeling it's not so comfortable for women in that situation. They're looking for a female nurse, and they're not quite comfortable with the guy as a nurse.
Well, I have to say that if I were in the hospital and a male nurse came in to, give me a sponge bath, I may be a little uncomfortable too.
That may be true.
I'm kidding, of course.
I don't know if we can use that, Phil. But I can attest to that. When I worked in the hospital setting, and I went to a ton of surgeries, and whenever I'd go to view a surgical case, of course, I'd be in scrubs. And so as I'm walking down the hall into the OR, I would have people that would stop me and say, "Excuse me, doctor." And of course, I'd use that old line. Yeah, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. So, so I think that is a common stereotype that, and completely wrong. But I do see, there are patient concerns that on some level, there's a greater satisfaction with having a woman as a nurse versus a man. So studies have shown that men are often reluctant to engage in activities that are traditionally dominated by women, and nursing is certainly one of those professions.
Sure.
Social status is important to men. They're concerned about their status. They want their job to translate into how others see them in regards to their masculinity. So, it's a big deal that historically women have been seen as the primary in the field of nursing. And so men are combating that stereotype. A perfect example, Phil. Remember the movie Meet the Parents with Ben Stiller and Robert De Niro, where he was a nurse. It scored well on his MCATs for going to med school, but he had decided to get into nursing, and everybody kind of looked down on him because he was a male nurse. So, that's a perfect example of that's actually bad for recruiting. Even though Ben Stiller's a funny guy, and the movie was funny, but nonetheless, that's a bad example of men in nursing. So a big detriment to men in the nursing profession is that whole gender stereotyping. The idea, again, that women are the primary participants in the nursing profession, and it's just not a real career for men. When really, what the industry needs to be doing is eliminating all those misconceptions about men in nursing. Phil, think about, in particular, like, say, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and certainly field medics in combat, during the Gulf Wars. During World War II in both the Europe and in the Pacific, they were all corpsmen. And those guys were carrying a gun. They were getting shot at and dying caring for others. Take a look at the beginning scene of Saving Private Ryan. Men have been a critical part of nursing, and it is a extremely fascinating profession for men to get into. But I think one of the things that you have to do early on is really start to eliminate those misconceptions about the industry. You've got to get in, and you've got to start encouraging and educating young men to look at the profession early in their academic life. But we need to engage education institutions and engage them with information about the really exciting careers that are in the nursing profession, careers in, cardiology medicine, emergency medicine, trauma, radiology, anesthesiology, surgery, critical care. Those skills for those jobs require, leadership, innovation, and technology knowledge. All those things that, attract men and are, self-fulfilling in terms of the social status that make men feel important about what they're doing as a career and how they communicate that to people. The other thing we need to do in terms of marketing campaigns is to promote the nursing profession for men as an incredible professional job with great career progression opportunities, meaning they can start out in one place and they can move to so many other opportunities. And again, this appeals to the social status that concern the majority of men in the workforce today. By promoting these nursing jobs as, it's a great profession to be in and that there are great growth opportunities for men. I mean, it certainly appeals to that need that men have in terms of it relates to their social status, men that are conscious about their social status. Essentially, we have to have some aggressive marketing campaigns, and they're required both in our high schools and our colleges. Young men need to see nursing as a rewarding professional career choice, one that engages them and also translates, shows the jobs and reflects the job opportunity and how it translates how they see themselves in regards to their masculinity. And a lot of that, I think, means that, looking at men that are working in the profession, men that are working in your hospitals, your surgery centers, et cetera, even in fields such as radiology and other areas, that these are strong, capable men working alongside women in the profession, and that they reflect, it shows them, I guess it's kind of like when you see those ads about, the guys driving Ford trucks.
Right.
What's wrong with having, this male nurse driving a Ford truck?
Right.
I just, again, I think it's one of the huge issues that men have faced in this industry for so long. And there's nothing that says that strong gender stereotypes in men can't effectively communicate into a caring individual in the nursing profession.
And really just making a difference in somebody's life.
Yes, absolutely. It's like we mentioned earlier. You think of all the men that have been in combat, field level combat roles, working with troops in the field, starting back, of course, in World War II in the European and the Pacific theaters and moving forward to today. It is an incredibly honorable profession with tremendous growth opportunity. And it's something that I think that many men that are looking to transition careers, it's just a superb opportunity for them.
That's a really great point, Mark. I would have never thought to look at the military, but you're right. There's a large population of medical staff who are male just by its nature, and it's a great resource to fill those roles.
Absolutely. The military is really a great source of clinical professionals, certainly a great recruiting opportunity. I would suggest, as we've done for clients in the past, is create either a section of your career website or a website unto itself or pages within your website that focus on opportunities and recruitment opportunities for military clinical staff and show that you have a focus on recruiting those from the U.S. military. Certainly, if you're in a region of the country where you're near a military base, where there's a military hospital, certainly a great opportunity. Those folks are disciplined. They understand the value of hard work. They're great team members. These are the kind of people that are perfect. And they also provide tremendous leadership. The last thing I'd mention is if you're putting together a recruitment campaign for men in nursing, I'd look for the strong male role models that you might have working in your nursing floors and use them. I don't know, you may have a speakers bureau. It's a great opportunity to send them out into the community to speak to civic groups, high school career days, community colleges, or even your nursing programs at your four-year colleges. Anything you can do to have something that reflects the strength and the social status of men within the nursing profession, to go out into the community and to talk about the opportunities that exist today for men in the nursing profession, growth opportunities, all the things that you can do with a nursing background. I think it does nothing but help you out in the long haul. So that's pretty much it. I think men in nursing, there are some great opportunities. A lot of the guys that I have met in a clinical setting in the hospitals, they were great role models for this kind of thing. These are guys, that were really secure. from their gender perspective, were very caring individuals. And they were great teammates on the floor too. Let's be very honest. Physiologically, there are things that, in terms of, and this is written up in studies too. This is article after article talks about the impact that men have, in nursing units. Certainly assisting with an unruly patient, an abusive patient. Certainly female nurses face a lot of that today in hospitals. Assistance and help in moving patients, when there's a transfer order that comes through. But like I said, so many of the men that I have met that are in the nursing profession are really great examples of caregivers. And unfortunately, I'm not sure that hospitals always do what they can do to promote that as a profession. The idea today is we should be encouraging anyone to get in the profession. And certainly, I think that there are a lot today, considering the loss of jobs in some traditional areas that men are in. This is a great opportunity, both on an income and a career growth standpoint.
You've been listening to the Higher Education Podcast from RightJobNow with your hosts, Mark and Phil. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed today's topic. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast right now to hear more original content on recruiting and the issues facing talent acquisition today. For more on RightJobNow, visit our website at rightjobnow.com and be sure to take our demo for a test at demo.rightjobnow.com. Thank you, and we'll see you next time right here on Higher Education with RightJobNow.